got the little man, you got the big man, and you got the bigger man.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Classic Nitro's Take Live here tonight on Nitro Maniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited, streaming at you through the YouTube channel, through the Facebook pages, and through the old freakinitro.com Facebook page. And we should be going through my Instagram account as well, too, through @KellenNitro. So feel free to comment and, write down your thoughts and feelings on the stream and that stuff on those specific sites. I'm going to bring in our esteemed panel, and they are quite esteemed, or they might be steamed, they might be angry, I don't know, we'll see. But I am, of course, the hardcore wrestling fan out of the three. We will bring in the lapsed fan, Mr. TL. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't wait to get into this one.
Keeping warm, obviously. Winter has hit in our neck of the region, so.
Oh boy, has it.
It has, yes. There's quite a lot of snow out there. So, and joining us is the brand new fan, the fellow who is the rookie to all this, but he's number one in our hearts. I believe in CPFraser. Yes, sir.
Say his name and I shall appear, but I'm a little thirsty right now. Ooh. I need to quench my thirst with a giant butt. Oh, wait a minute. What's in there? Is it perhaps all the money that people bet me about a week ago that said the Leafs were going to lose?
Okay, well.
Fools of a took.
Well, we'll go double or nothing on February 1st. How's that?
Maybe you'll be top of the league then.
Yeah, and maybe you'll be like, in a wild card spot on your side. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Yes. Right. So it's been good for the old Toronto Blue Shirts this year.
Despite the injuries?
Yes.
Pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
What keep it going? Beat Utah tonight, 3-2.
Oh, okay. You beat old Hawk Utah. I got it.
Old Hawk Utah.
Hawk Utah.
I refuse to say that. I refuse. I will not.
You will not spit on that thing, is what you're saying?
I will not. I thought Kim Kardashian was the worst of making stupid.
It's the stupidest trend of the year. Yes, it's
that is beyond. I'm like, oh, she has a podcast.
Yeah, well, let's get this.
Give her money.
Let's get this blonde-haired muppet. Give her a freaking public thing after making basically a BJ joke. Okay, great.
You know what? I hope she does well. I do.
I hope she's saving her money. Yes,
I'm just not subscribing. That's it.
Hey, you know what? She's almost as dumb as a Toronto Maple Leafs fan in Alberta.
I don't know. That didn't land, Tyler.
No, that didn't. Yeah, it's kind of but
you are not Norm Macdonald, friend.
Yeah.
Oh, I never said I was. It's just are you talking about land? I got nothing for land.
Nothing for land. Oh well, whatever. So, gentlemen, it was my turn to pick the show. How the show works is we all go around the table, and each episode is picked by one of us. The magic rotator button landed on my square last time, so it was my turn to pick. And we decided to go extreme for the first time ever in this series. We are going back to September of 1999, September 19th of 1999 tonight. It is ECW's Anarchy Rulz, live from the Odeum Expo Center in Villa Park, Chicago, Illinois, again on September 19th, 1999. A pretty pivotal pay-per-view. I got a little tongue-tied there for ECW going forward here as the relationship, the agreement of ECW on TNN had just started. They are only 3 or 4 weeks in at this point. And it's still a fresh, shiny relationship. And we all know what happened to sour that. We all know what happened to end that relationship. But at this time, everything's all very shiny, very new, very sparkly at this point.
Well, enlighten me. What happened? What happened to end that relationship? I'm not familiar.
Well, I will send you a copy of The Rise and Fall of ECW. That's got the best storytelling about that whole end of that relationship. But basically, TNN was using ECW as a conduit to land the WWF. That's why WWF in the fall of 2000 jumps from USA to TNN.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they were kind of got played. I see.
Oh, they got played big time, and that's the TLDR version, the absolute unabridged version. There's a lot of twists and turns, and it's all covered in that documentary. So I will send you a copy of that, and you can give her a perusal one day.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. It is so, but yeah. So this is the very first pay-per-view with the aid of the ECW on TNN, I guess, engine. This is also the first pay-per-view ECW ever has broadcast in Canada. So this was live coast to coast across Canada because TNN was, of course, available across Canada, and Viewers' Choice in Canada picked up the ECW pay-per-view license, and through this pay-per-view, through the end of the company, through Guilty as Charged 2001, I think was the last original ECW pay-per-view back in January of 01, they decided to run every single ECW pay-per-view. So it was an extra line of income because wrestling was hot back in the late 90s, obviously. So, yes.
Now remember, for those who don't understand, TNN was a channel. It became Spike TV.
Yes. It is now the Paramount Network.
It is now the Paramount Network.
Yes, it is.
Which people will probably even know better as Paramount Plus, the streaming app.
It's basically where you go to watch your reruns of Yellowstone now at this point, or Bar Rescue.
Or South Park.
Or South Park, yes. Yeah.
Or the new season of Frasier, which,
Okay.
They're doing more Frasier?
Yep. They revitalized Frasier. And it's okay.
I remember seeing the ads for that, and I remember not being interested at all. I was like, oh, okay.
So it's obviously Kelsey Grammer's playing Fraser Crane.
Yeah, and they brought back David Hyde Pierce, I believe, and a lot of the original. Or did it not? Did they not?
David Hyde Pierce isn't in it?
He is not in it.
Wow. Not in the first few episodes that I struggled through.
I thought he was.
He might have been later on as a cameo, but in that first season, no.
Okay.
And the dad has passed away, the actor himself.
Yeah, knew that.
And so did the dog. And
well, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, we're watching reruns of The Littlest Hobo up here. That dog's been dead for 40 years. So
how dare you? No, but I mean, it's not. There's not a lot of the original cast that's in. No, it's just Frasier. That's all it is. It's just Kelsey Grammer. That's kind of what hinders it. Is that
that's not enough for me.
No.
I need Niles.
Niles and the dad were the best part of Frasier.
Yes,
literally.
Yeah,
Frasier was kind of like he's the focal point, but he was the least funny thing on that whole show.
Yes,
I mean he was funny at times, but yes, the dad and Niles carried the show when it came to comedy. Yes,
absolutely.
Just because Frasier was them trying to milk more money because Cheers ended.
Exactly.
Well, they gave him the spin-off out of Cheers. It's not like it just ended and he's like, oh, I should just keep being Frasier, because it's very different from who the real actual Kelsey Grammer is.
Yeah. There was no way you were going to give Woody Harrelson the spin-off out of Cheers.
Oh, God,
point.
no. I'd rather talk about this than this pay-per-view, by the way.
Oh, I'll break it in easily. So what we'll do is we'll do the my throat is feeling it tonight, folks. Here, so I apologize if I'm not up to snuff on the not on the announcing, but on the speaking, I guess, portion of this podcast here. But I will go ahead and go, "Ooh, Undertaker!" At the
Nailed
bottom
it.
of the screen is, oh, that didn't work. Let me try again. Ooh, Undertaker! There we go. At the
Hey.
bottom of the screen is the Nitro Maniac TV's Undertaker, showing you the full results and all the facts and figures from that pay-per-view. So you can check that out at the bottom while we talk about each and every contest going through here. So the version we watched, so this is going to be the telling sign here of what we decided to watch. And stuff. I decided to watch the original and what I had posted on our mutual kind of hard drive thing that we used to watch these things is the original pay-per-view off air that, by the way, shout out to Mark who gave me the tape for it, originally recorded back on September 19th, 1999. So that's the original Viewer's Choice pay-per-view off air is what I watched of the show. I believe, Fraser, you watched the same thing there. So there we go. And Mr. TL, you kind of did a hybrid approach this time around.
I absolutely did a hybrid approach. I went to the WWE Network and watched the visual of that because although the tape is the original, what you had on the drive, the quality wasn't amazing.
Yeah,
which,
of course.
You know, what it is.
It's off of VHS tape, yeah.
But like watching it on the network, it looked like it was in like enhanced color and enhanced visuals. It looked amazing on the network.
Yeah.
It looks so bright and shiny. Like the tape version looked like it was in black and white in comparison. But the audio on the network has been tampered with.
Yes.
It is not the original audio. So what I did, I played the audio from your original tape and the visual from the network, and I got the best of both worlds.
And
I
you just synced it.
And it was perfect.
Awesome.
So I heard all the real music that was being used.
Which is part of the ECW experience because, yes, boys and girls, we'll start things off right now. If you are new to original ECW, and some of you who are listening and watching might be, the original ECW that ran from, well, they say 1992 to 2001. The launch of Extreme Championship Wrestling was about 94, 95-ish. But that promotion ran actual real music as their entrance music for all of their wrestlers. I'm not going to say licensed because it sure wasn't licensed, but it was real music, real walkout music for their wrestlers. That's why you had Sandman walk to the ring with Enter Sandman by Metallica. That's why, like, on this pay-per-view, you had like White Zombie doing music for like Lance Storm. You had, you know, throughout the different things we hear from like Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden. We hear there's a whole bunch of just,
you leaving out the best one,
Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers.
Yeah.
Dre and Cube.
Yep. For
New Jack. Now, on the network, they have to plug in a generic West Coasty kind of song. It is the most annoying piece of shit that plays. I'm like, this is horrid. Without the original, like the soundtrack of the actual, you know, the actual song sounds so cool, and they just let it play while he's doing his nonsense. But on the network, oh my Lord, he's, I don't know. If they wanted him to ever be a villain, that's what they should have done, was use the WWE version of that crap.
Okay.
It was awful.
Crazy. And of course, you get Walk with Walk by Pantera for Rob Van Dam, but if you watch it on the network, you get One of a Kind. Or
no, you don't.
You get the WCW Invasion version.
No, you don't.
Oh, really? Okay.
They dubbed it over with something completely different.
Oh my God.
I was like, what the hell is this? I had to hear it. I had to switch it back just to be like, okay, I wonder what they did for Pantera. No, what is this? It was the weirdest shit I've ever heard. They've never used it before.
Yeah, that's strange.
It was the worst thing.
I have to go back and I watched obviously the pay-per-view off air. that I had, and then I also have a copy of this from ECW Home Video, which that in itself is a condensed 2-hour version of the pay-per-view, so it cuts out a lot of the entrances and stuff and whatever. So I haven't seen the WWE Network version of this pay-per-view. I think I'll go back after the show and check out the butchering they've done throughout the
it's just in the
broadcast.
audio department. On the visuals, it all lines up perfectly.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So there we go. Yeah. So this is the largest live house ECW ever drew. Is this show?
6,000 people.
6,000 people. Super no vacancy sellout. At the Odeum Expo Center in one of the suburbs of Chicago.
Wow.
And
that is kind of sad that they never did the Spectrum in Philadelphia, that they never had a big enough event to sell it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, don't forget, the late 90s, the Spectrum in Philadelphia is coming to its end. They're moving into the new First Union Center right across the parking lot.
Wells Fargo Arena.
The Wells Fargo Arena, yeah.
Whatever it is, the Wachovia Center, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is,
it's had a ton of different names.
Well, that means even if the building's going out, then they should at least tried one shot to get in there.
Yeah, maybe.
But I guess they didn't believe they could draw anything more than 10,000 or less.
Well, yeah, it's the ECW Arena, I think, had a capacity of about 1,600, 1,700. So that they were comfortable running that. In Philly, that's what they did. That's their home base. It's their home building. That's what they're going to run. But this one isn't in Philly. It's in Chicago. So completely different kind of hardcore crowd, but still a really hot hardcore wrestling crowd throughout the entire show here. So I got a chance to watch the pre-show for this fig, obviously, because there's a pre-show that was on the tape. So I'll just rip through the quick highlights of this. Paul E is in full hype mode during the pre-show. Says that the ban on Sabu is lifted tonight. Cyrus, who is the color commentator, Don Callis, does a good job of hyping it up and has a backstage interview with Bill Alfonso. Alfonso promises an ass-kicking from hell. We see a Taz promo segment that was from the previous week's ECW on TNN, basically saying he accepts the challenge of Masato Tanaka from FMW, which is, as it stands, going into the pay-per-view, it's supposed to be Taz versus Masato Tanaka in an FMW versus ECW dream match. We will talk about that when we get to that point in the card, because it doesn't stay that way for very long. So, stay with us here. FMW held a presser the week prior, so we see some highlights from that, and they named Masato Tanaka the challenger for the ECW title. We did see highlights of Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome from a previous match on ECW TV. Now, that's important later on because they do make reference to that during the show. There's more ECW on TNN highlights from when Dreamer and Raven won the ECW tag team titles in Queens over the Dudley Boys. That was the Dudley Boys' last appearance in ECW. Again, another storyline that we're going to touch on here during the show. We have wrestlers at this point in ECW that are jumping ship and having their last shows in ECW going to WWE. And don't forget, this is 4 weeks after the initial pilot of their very first coast-to-coast, almost worldwide television deal.
Very well said. Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you also mentioned it's not just people leaving for WWE, but also WCW as well.
WCW, yes, as well. Yeah, that's right. There was guys leaving from WCW at different spots throughout the year, but there is almost a pandemic of it that breaks in around this time. And we'll get to that as we move along here. Even more ECW on TNN highlights of the Impact players beating down RVD and Jerry Lynn. Of course, this was 99, so Lance Storm and Justin Credible are the kind of the big heel faction right now in ECW, going after all the baby faces and getting that heel heat on all the TV shows. Lynn challenges Van Dam for the ECW World TV title at the ECW Arena, and Van Dam retains. That was on ECW on TNN. And I believe that's the third match of that summer-fall series that really made Jerry Lynn and Rob Van Dam really noticeable to the wrestling public's eye that year. Of course, there's the Hardcore Heaven match on pay-per-view, and there was another one prior to that, but I think this is the third of the trilogy. They do not face each other on this pay-per-view because of it. So there's fresh opponents for both Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn on this pay-per-view, and we'll get to that as it goes. And then Bruce Dickinson's version of the Scorpions song "The Zoo" plays us in as Paul E. hypes the card for that night. Craig, did you watch any of the pre-show, or did you just kind of shuttle through to the beginning of
I
that?
kind of skipped through it. I was like, it's not started yet. It's just a bunch of pre-crap. So
Yeah.
I just was like, I want to get to the matches.
Yeah, there we go, right? So, oh well. What can you do, I guess? So that's it. So
You can fast forward is what we can do.
yeah, so that's for those who care. That's what what an ECW pre-show looks like. Was they were just hyping the pay-per-views. That's it.
I'm sure all three of you now care. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
there we go. Main show. Eventually, we get to it. I have that in my notes too. It says eventually we get to it. So, there's a small production botch on my copy with the tape running, stopping, and starting, and then starting and stopping again, which has had to be for the production truck on the live thing. It's that whole parking lot thing where Stephen Prazak, who is one of the ECW announcers, has Masato Tanaka in the parking lot, and all of a sudden from the back, Judge Jeff Jones, who's a heel manager in ECW, says that Tanaka doesn't deserve the title shot, but Tanaka proceeds to just beat the crap out of Jones on his car, I guess, basically, and then says as Tanaka walks off, Jones says that the price Tanaka will pay will be awesome. And they fade into a very lively Odeon. I want to say Odeon, but it's Odeon Expo Center, where Joey Styles and Cyrus, Don Callis, welcomes us to Anarchy Rulz. So that's our play-by-play and color commentary team. And this is the point of the pay-per-view where we basically sit down and we grade the color commentary and announcing throughout the entire show, because we do that off the first thing, because they're typically the first thing we see on these shows. So this is the first time we've encountered, obviously, because this is our first ECW show, Joey Styles as an announcer in the series. And they kind of rotate through color commentators before they finally settle on Joel Gertner later on. But Don Callis is Cyrus as the color commentator. Craig, I'll start with you. What did you think of Joey and Cyrus throughout the show here?
Oh my God! No.
Basically, right?
I thought it was okay. I mean, like, you know, I think Joey Styles, I think, is a good commentator. I think he, I don't know. And I thought, you know, Don he's definitely the heel commentator that kind of puts the color in, very much the king to Joey's JR. I think it's one of those less talked about commentary teams. I don't know enough about ECW. I know that Joey Styles is the kind of, you know, he was their big play-by-play guy.
Yes.
And I'm not sure who was their primary color guy. I don't know if it was
they rotated guys in and out throughout the entire run of the company. They've had everybody from Ravishing Rick Rude to at the end, it's Joel Gertner to Cyrus here, Don Callis. They had Tommy Dreamer. They've had Taz. They just rotate people in.
I actually really like this commentary duo. I thought that
right?
I thought after watching a pay-per-view with him, like he's better than McMahon was.
Oh, definitely. That's not a high bar, though.
No, but a lot of people give McMahon a lot of credit because he was commentator on a lot of big WWF pay-per-views. So I don't know. I thought the commentary in the play-by-play was fine in this. I thought it kept it engaging. The crowd was on fire for all of it. An ECW crowd. It's that 6,000 puts some 20,000 arenas today to shame.
TL, what you think?
Joey Styles is a great commentator. He really is. He's great. To answer your question of who the color commentator was, for a long time in ECW, there was no color commentator.
There wasn't. Yeah.
There was none. It was just Joey Styles by himself. Much like this is very local, but we have a hockey announcer here. His name is Jack Michaels, who fills in the color for himself a lot of the times. So his color commentator doesn't really have much to do. Right? It's because he's doing the color and the play-by-play all on his own with little stories and quips. Now, Joey Styles did a much better version of that on his own. You don't need Cyrus. And unlike other places where your heel commentator has a history of being a heel, be it Bobby the Brain Heenan or Jerry Lawler or whoever, or Jesse Ventura. Cyrus is a schmuck. He's a nobody. He's not done anything really of note in the business. He looks like an idiot. He sounds like an idiot. He says stupid things. That's his role, but he has no history for anybody to give this guy any, at this time, credibility or respect.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of him, and he, to this day, is now getting better spots as a manager. And in New Japan Pro Wrestling a couple of years ago, or a few years ago now, as a commentator, as a color commentator in English.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He got his reps in, and then he got better. But I mean, this is the starting point of him, and he sucks. He absolutely blows. They didn't need him.
So yeah. So Don Callis's career trajectory up to this point, just quickly, is in the Western Canadian Indies for a while during the mid-90s. He gets scouted by Bret the Hitman Hart, signs a WWF contract, and ends up in the WWF as the Jackal, and is immediately put in as a heel manager for a heel group called the Truth Commission, which, if you watch 1997 WWF, is another one of those gangs that they tried to do like gang warfare with at that point. That's another story for another time. But around 1998 or so, he gets his release from WWF and immediately jumps to ECW, or ECW offers him the deal, whatever. And so he's been there for a while now in ECW, but he becomes a major heel figure in ECW through 99 into 2000, with the network storyline, basically becoming a heel TNN network executive looking to take over ECW.
Who wears a bejeweled dot in the middle of his forehead?
Yep. The third eye. You know, because it's like chakras, third eyes, you know.
The shock master.
This is offensive to my head.
I was expecting him to come barging in behind the door there. We got set up in your living room.
It's the Yeti. It's the Yeti.
No, it's the Yeti.
The Yeti.
Yeti. That's a hard A. It's not.
Oh, Shivani, you schmuck.
Anyways, there we go. So welcomes us to that show. So we did hear the strings of White Zombie, and that plays out our first competitor, as it is time for our opening contest. This is Lance Storm with Dawn Marie taking on Jerry Lynn. So Lance Storm one-on-one with Jerry Lynn. So the runtime for that one is, let's see here, 16 minutes and 38 seconds. It's our opener of the night. I was looking, see if I can find the finish here. It is, I lost where it was. Oh, there it is. Quick roll up by Lance Storm and a clean 1-2-3 with a 3/4 Nelson cradle. So it's basically two really good technician wrestlers putting on a heck of a match for the opener. I thought that this thing was really phenomenally paced. I thought the crowd was hot. They were, in behind Jerry for sure, because Jerry had a lot of that really, I guess, he was really popular in the fall of 99, so he still was really hot with the crowd and that stuff. And Lance Storm was such a hated heel. I think it was pretty cool to see two really different wrestling styles that have developed from two different wrestling epicenters go head to head in this match. You had the Stampede style with Lance Storm versus the Minneapolis AWA hybrid style from Jerry Lynn in this one, because Jerry Lynn had done some time early on in his career in the waning days of the AWA under the Greg Gagne camp, learning and stuff like that. So, the hand comes up. My mouth goes shut. Here we go.
I want you to explain the dynamic between Dawn Marie, Lance Storm, and Just Incredible.
The Impact Flares?
Yes.
That's one of the stills I grabbed there and that stuff. So, okay, so they are a heel, I guess, tag team that kind of became almost. They've added a third with Jason, the sexiest man on the planet. That's his gimmick. There we go. They've added and I guess Paul E's idea for him was like they're like the Freebirds mixed with the NWO somewhat, and that they kind of interfere with matches along the line and just are pain in the ass to deal with throughout the show.
What is the point of Dawn Marie?
So, they initially brought her in when Lance Storm was feuding with Chris Candido. Chris Candido is not on this pay-per-view. You don't see Chris Candido at all on the show. Chris Candido brought in his wife at the time, Tammy Lynn Sitch, Sunny from WWF, about a few months ago. Or, a few months prior to this.
What is the point of Dawn Marie?
Well, I think Cyrus says it during the match. TNA.
I thought the storyline was that Just Incredible and Lance Storm don't actually like each other, but they're in the faction because Dawn Marie put them together. And her whole thing is that she's going to go with whoever wins the match or gets the pinfall or something.
No,
like that.
You get that confused with Francine later on in 2000. Francine is basically the whore that goes along with the belt.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
So Dawn Marie is just
Dawn Marie was brought in the Lance Storm Chris Candido feud as the female accomplice to Lance Storm. She actually had the name. She actually had the name of Tammy Lynn Bitch as her debut.
God. So is she
good old Paulie right there?
Okay, but I don't understand. Is she with Lance Storm like as a girlfriend, as a wife, or is she?
It's implied that they're a couple. Yes, as a girlfriend. Yeah.
That is the least believable thing in this whole setup. We are talking about professional wrestling, but that was one of the least believable things.
No,
they have no chemistry together whatsoever. It was worse than Jericho and China.
So you think they had like kind of the same, like kind of just grouped together chemistry that, you'd see on like Monday nights at that time with people are just randomly put together and that stuff.
Like Jericho and Stephanie McMahon. Bad.
Wow. Okay.
I
didn't even notice. So there we go. That I think just speaks to the quality of the products in general at that time. But
also, by the way, the way that they commentate about Dawn Marie is very late 90s. The way that they address her.
Warned. A lot of this discussion tonight and that stuff, in case you haven't noticed, is going to be kind of not PC for now, but PC back then. If you get what
it was not PC. There's no politically correct. Yeah, it was R-rated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that it's I was saying it's definitely wouldn't fly in 2024, and
the thing was it didn't really fly back then either, and it's kind of the reason why the company never went as big as they could have or did or should have.
Yeah, that's another reason with ECW, but there we go.
Basically calling Dawn Marie a slut and a whore and a bitch on commentary. Most of that done by Cyrus, Don Callis. Not really that done by Joey Styles.
Who Cyrus and Lance Storm are real life like best buddies anyway. So I think part of that was, just Cyrus trying to make sure his buddy got over as a heel.
Which I didn't really get because I'm like, there's nothing heelish really about him other than there's a lack of personality there.
Yeah, and people hate him because he's really good at wrestling, apparently. They're trying to take a little bit of the Bret Hart 1997, he hates America thing and imply it with Lance here, and it kind of doesn't really take off. And then it kind of does to an extent in WCW the next year, but not really. And then
no. It worked in WCW where he wins the cruiserweight title and calls it the under 100 kilos championship.
And then
he wins the US title and calls it the Canadian title.
The Canadian title, and then I think the hardcore belt becomes the Saskatchewan hardcore championship or something. Yeah.
Yes, his run in WCW with the whole Canadian gimmick was the run of his life.
Yes.
So it's not that it went over like gangbusters in WCW.
It's one of the few things that did that year. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
I'll change my tune on that. Yeah, definitely. It's one of the few things that did. So, But anyway, Craig, what did you think of the opener? 20 minutes later, we
I
get
don't
to your
know
thoughts.
about any of the story that was going on. I just thought it was a good match. I thought
Oh, there we go.
I thought it was a good match. I'm strictly looking at it as competitors in the ring. I'm not thinking about the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good way to judge matches sometimes. I mean, just to see the quality of the performance. I mean, Lance Storm, very, very good worker, great training, great background. And Jerry Lynn, also known as a pretty good worker. People refer to him as like a guy that inspired them. I mean, you can definitely see how guys like, like Jericho took some style points from him and like techniques from him. I mean, even a guy like Punk, I saw similarities of like Punk. Punk definitely probably took a couple of pointers from Jerry Lynn.
Yeah.
I think even Punk himself has admitted liking Jerry Lynn matches and stuff like that coming out of the Midwest.
Well, Punk had a chance to train under Jerry Lynn a little bit because they were both in TNA together in the early 2000s. Yeah, they were on the same roster. So
I just thought this was a good match. I mean, if the storylines would have been better, could have been a if they would have extended it, could have been a main event match. I thought it was a great opener.
And this, I'll say right away, is one of the follies of this pay-per-view where a lot of the matches you watch on this thing feel like they're slapped together last minute. Even for somebody who like watched the watched the product and got caught up on the product a little bit by watching the pre-show and okay, this is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. A lot of these matches are slapped together almost last minute-ish, as if a lot of previous creative had already gone out the window. And I'll explain those circumstances as we get to them during the show here. But
just overall, like ECW now, like we've watched WWF and WCW pay-per-views. ECW does seem a lot more messy, which is, this shit happens and that happens, and there's a little less rhyme and reason. It's a little more like, and then this guy's just gonna come out and just tear house.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Oh, we'll get to that. We will get to that when Jazz comes out.
Which is coming up shortly, yes.
But you know what? I do want to disagree with something that Craig said a little bit.
Sure.
Is where you said like to judge a match just based on the in-ring action. Fine. If you're going back and you're kind of doing a study on wrestling a little bit like that. Cool. But I think the story, it has to matter. There has to be some form of investment that hooks you to pull you into that match. There's nothing like that here. Like, let's go to like a real thing, like a UFC. Two guys are in the ring. They're going to fight. Why? One guy wants to get higher in the card than the other guy. One guy's a ranked fighter, guy's a not ranked fighter. They're trying to see where they match up. Yeah. That'll always be the scenario for like lower mid card stuff in the UFC until you get to the high rank where it's like, I want the title or I want a title shot. This there's no hook. Yeah. There's no hook. It's just two guys slapped together.
Yeah. The thing is too, is that during a point in this match, if they kind of attempt to throw a lifeline out there, commentary does, where Joey Styles says, I'm not sure if Jerry Lynn's heart is going to be entirely in this match because he's been completely focused and enamored on Rob Van Dam, the previous months and that stuff. And going into a pay-per-view, and this is the first pay-per-view match where he's not wrestling Rob Van Dam in a couple of pay-per-views and that stuff. How is that going to affect it and that stuff? And I think that the line was, I wrestle Van Dam, therefore I am. Was the exact verbiage he threw out there. So, I mean, that's, but that speaks exactly to what you're saying.
I'm shaking my head because sometimes I feel like Paul Heyman thinks of the t-shirt before anything else.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
So he just catchphrases everything.
Yeah.
He thinks of the box office.
Or he just thinks of t-shirt sales.
Which, when you're running an independent promotion, though, is definitely a quick way to make money if you can get gangbuster box office ideas out there. The problem is that they've just made the transition here from independent, sometimes seen, to now you're a national company. Now you're the third of the big three. So,
yeah, they don't look at it all.
Yeah,
they absolutely do not look professional whatsoever.
No, I mean, maybe a little bit more lighting around the ring from like the very first pay-per-view, which was in 1997. But other than that, that's it. It's not. There's no huge set. There's no real. There's no pyro to speak of. Obviously.
Yeah, there's no pyro. There's
the building's not big. Yeah.
But I mean, it's the little things. It's like the way that the ring looks, the way that the material looks, the way that the ropes look, the way that the turnbuckle looks. It's just a little cheap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. No, definitely for sure. So, yeah. So I thought it was a great opener. I thought it was a good scene setter throughout the entire thing here. So we'll get to your thoughts here because you were talking about Jazz, and we got Jazz and Simon Diamond, and this whole kind of schmoz coming up next here. Which is just, I completely forgot that this was on the show. So Simon Diamond walks out, hits the ring. I think of him as kind of more like a great value Rick Rude at this point because they had lost Rick Rude, and I think Rick Rude has passed away by this point. So he is like complete, like, unfortunately he passed away, I think a couple months prior to this or something. I think it's in around the same time frame as this, but you know, anyway, Rick Rude was in ECW for a little bit, then he jumps to WWF, then jumps to WCW ultimately. Cuts a promo. The crowd is hot at him. He's looking for a partner. Calls out Tom Arquez, who is a ECW jobber at ringside, and then rejects him as a partner. We didn't have Jazz walking out. The two kind of stare each other down. Simon Diamond again runs her down in the ring and that stuff, and says the line, "If women have proven anything in this industry, it is they are worthless and only T and A." Remember, this is 1999, everybody. This is and this is ECW on top of it. Again, talking about the political correctness and lack thereof with this at this point. So Arquez and Jazz end up fighting, and Nova and Chris Chetty hit the ring, and the next match starts. According to the Wikipedia, and this is how mixed up everything is, they have Jazz defeating Tom Marquez with Simon Diamond by disqualification here as an actual match that lasts 58 seconds off of this. So, stupid Wikipedia, I think, but because I don't see anything that resembles a match in that first, 3 minutes. Or
I didn't see anything that resembled something that needed to be on this pay-per-view.
Oh, it's straight, Phil Furter TV is what
this
they're doing.
Was a 3-pack of ass.
It sucked.
What the hell was this? By the way,
it was terrible.
Anybody even remembers Jazz from her WWE run? She was kind of like
good.
the big muscly girl.
Yeah, she was good.
But back here, she was much slimmer. In fact, I'd say she was smaller than what Bianca Belair is now in this segment. So she put on a lot of beef as her career went on.
Yeah. Exactly.
A lot of mass, a lot of muscle mass. But back here, I was like, who the hell is this Jazz? She's little.
Yeah.
And she goes out there. This is one of the worst segments of anything I have ever had to watch.
It doesn't really do anything to the show. It just it takes the momentum that you built in your first opener
and flushes really it down the toilet.
Considering what we have coming up after this, you could have easily jumped from the Jerry Lynn Lance Storm opener to the next match on the card here and not worry about this stuff. This was just basically designed to get Nova and Chris Chetty over because they were a brand new babyface tag team.
Hey, well, it didn't.
And it didn't because Chris Chetty hurts his knee halfway through this thing. And so he's out.
That's not the reason. It didn't because the segment blew.
The segment sucks, but I'm just saying somebody got hurt out of this deal too, which didn't help things either. So
everyone on this segment should have been cut and fired from this company after this. This is one of the worst waste of times I have ever spent.
Yeah.
And not just wrestling, in just life in general. This is school. This is work. This is everything. One of the biggest black holes of life. Awful.
I loved it.
And now the opposite end of it.
Did you? What did you like about it?
I don't know. I didn't understand this segment either. She comes out, she gets plastered. I was like, maybe just go to the next match. I was like,
So anyway, Chris Chetty and Nova versus Simon Diamond and Tony DeVito, who came out with Marquez, ends in a no contest tag team match in free 52. A major schmoz as wrestlers hit the ring, and then we got New Jack's music hitting, and New Jack cleans house, and there's a nice crossbody. Nova hits to the outside on somebody on the outside, which is great. Other than that, it's New Jack getting a pop from the crowd, showing up on the pay-per-view. So I forgot. There's two people being made here. There's Nova being made, and then there's New Jack being made, I guess, off of this. And you could debate the amount of madeness off of this. That's a term I just made up. So there we go.
I honestly thought it was so. It would seem so detrimental to New Jack. Like the match.
It's kind of it's a real afterthought. It's like they book the show and they're like, oh shit, we got nothing for New Jack. Okay.
Comes out with some great music, by the way.
Oh,
some Dragon Cube. That's great.
Yeah.
There, it's NWA throwback.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
not quite, but okay.
Well, it's not NWA, but like they were both in NWA.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what I meant. but I mean, good music to come out, but it's just smack. Oh, here, I'm gonna hit you with this thing, and I'm gonna throw the garbage can. And I'm gonna keep looking. It was just like it almost looked like a Santa Claus bitch. He's like, "What else is in my little garbage can of gifts?" And then like the pool cue to the nuts. Just I don't know. Like it just it was a little.
My favorite.
I guess I just didn't get it. I was like, what's the? So he just comes out and he's violent, and I mean, we all know New Jack. I mean, yes, that's kind of his thing, but I mean, like, I don't know. I kind of was
Mr.
like,
Craig, that was the gimmick.
Yeah.
So this is ECW's version of Goldberg. So Goldberg goes out there and he destroys somebody in a very short match, and they go, "Oh my God, he's so cool." This is the ECW version where New Jack just goes out and lays waste to whoever's in the segment with random objects that he's brought to the ring. So, what are you typing?
I'm looking for a picture of New Jack for the pay-per-view because I realize I don't have one here, so I'm just trying to see if I can Google one. So,
but here's the thing. But here, I don't know, because the thing with Goldberg is we all know that Goldberg was very limited in the ring.
You don't think New Jack was? All he could do was hit people with objects.
Wait, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying. You need to give people space, man.
Never. We're given enough space. We're only 2 matches, sort of, into this stupid fucking pay-per-view.
Well, free according to free. Yeah, there we go. For free matches in according to Wikipedia. So anyway, there we go. There's New Jack for the pay-per-view, kind of after. So he was wearing the No Limit Soldiers thing because don't forget the Master P No Limit Soldiers thing was in WCW at the time too. So that's probably kind of an inside rib.
I thought he had like a red bandana for this segment. Is that for this one?
Oh, maybe. I can't remember. But anyway, this was labeled. This is just off of a Google search, so it could be anything.
No, this is 99. So was he like kind of like playing off of like the Tupac hype or something, going with the bandana? Was that like, because that was like a Tupac thing. He did the bandana.
Multiple rappers wore bandanas. It was not just a Tupac thing.
Okay.
I guess I just know. As not a rap fan, I always just, when I see that kind of style, I just think of Tupac. But
I concede to our resident hip hop head, Mr. TL, when it comes to anything in that side, because
that's fair.
That's his bread and butter right there. So,
well, what my point was I was gonna say is like with Goldberg, at least they would do these like squash matches. So the match was set up with the intention of he comes out, he has the pyro, he breathes in the fireworks, starts doing the kicks and the punches, and comes in, does a couple moves, blah blah blah. The guy kind of works Goldberg through it, and then spear, jackhammer, done. At least you could like build off a storyline of like he just does matches that way. And unless you put him in a match with like William Regal, for instance, where he gets exposed, it really kind of works if you're trying to drive home that whole monster squash machine.
Yeah.
Whereas New Jack, it's like after these segments, he just comes out and hits people with stuff, and you're like, but like that, like the Sandman already does that. But even like it's just like, I don't know. It just it just doesn't seem like, I don't know. I guess the appeal is he just comes out and smashes people.
I'll hit you with this at this point. Sandman is not in ECW at this point. He is still in the waning weeks of his WCW contract. So Sandman does come back to ECW, but
yeah,
it's
he
like
is
November.
hardcore hack in WCW right now.
Currently at this point in time, yeah. So
Now,
he's not in the company.
Here's the similarities. All Goldberg was to do was to get the crowd hype. They hype for the entrance, the hype for the song, the hype for the pyro, the hype for the walkout, for his pulling on the ropes and all that shit. They hype for his moves. He pins. He adds to the record. The crowd is still going crazy because they haven't come down since the entrance.
Yeah.
And then he walks out, and the crowd is still on a high.
Yeah.
This is what ECW's version was supposed to do, was play the song. Oh shit, here comes New Jack. He comes out with a bucket, barrel, or wheelbarrow, or a shopping cart full of weapons.
Antenna plunder, daddy.
Beats the shit out of everybody. The crowd is supposed to be going nuts this entire time, and then he leaves. So this is all supposed to hype up the crowd. The same principle as Goldberg, done in a very ECW way. And this segment was a mess.
Yeah.
This segment was an absolute disaster. And the thing is, though, if you ever want to know what was New Jack doing in ECW, that was it.
Yeah.
That's the gimmick.
That's basically him from day one. And don't forget, he came in as part of a tag team to begin with the Gangsters.
The Gangsters.
From Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. 96. I'm just closing the circle. The circle is closed. But anyway, we got some comments coming in, so I'm just going to rattle through a couple of these here. So we've got, Dave W texting in saying New Jack is literally terrible. Well, I could see that with some people. And I didn't care much for him myself. I think maybe later on in life, I saw a little bit of, like, okay, he's a ECW original, whatever.
He's just a gimmick. He was no different than, let's say, a Goldberg, or he's no
or
different
an
than
Ultimate Warrior, even.
An Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior is
what's
another
another kind of gimmick? A great Khali.
Mm-hmm.
Be big, go out there, crush somebody's head, get the pin, walk out, and look like a complete giant idiot, and go. Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. And we got. And I apologize if I butcher your name, sir, but we got Josu Medrano texting and said, I only just started watching ECW last year. This is the second ever pay-per-view I saw. Seems like it was 2 years behind. I want to revisit that as we go throughout the show and that stuff, but that's a very good comment to bring up at this point for sure. We'll revisit that as that happens. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, because it looked so low production. For something that got a national TV deal, it does look like it's mid-90s instead of late 90s.
Yes. You have to think in your mind what WCW was doing at the time, what WWF was doing at the time, and then don't forget, this is these guys 4 weeks into a national TV deal.
Yep. And they don't even look as good as when Raw debuted in 93.
Right.
They don't even look as good as like that Saturday night show that WCW used to run.
Oh, with the WCW Saturday Night with the I guess the Terminator ripoff.
The slidey doors and all that shit. Like, it looks worse than all of those.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's, yeah.
Let's move to the next abortion.
My goodness. All right. Anyways.
Well, we're getting extreme.
We are getting extreme tonight on the channel, and I love it. This is great stuff. So, yeah, if you got more comments on the show and everything going forward, go ahead. And, yeah, Dave W. They literally had 1% of the WWF and WCW budget, though, too. Back then there were touring rock bands, though, and that stuff that were touring with, like 1 or 5% of the budget that WWF and WCW had for shows, and their stuffs look great. So
my question is, with that 1% of the budget, where did the money go? Because it wasn't in front of the camera.
Good point. Yeah,
it went to beer and drugs for the wrestlers.
Yeah,
you might literally be right at this point.
But should we get good prop sets, or do we need another beer run and somebody needs more Coke?
All right, moving on. We have the Cruiserweight Freeway Dance here, and this was a really good one. This was Little Guido with Sal E. Graziano, so the FBI, versus Super Crazy versus Yoshihiro Tajiri. The runtime for this thing was 14 minutes and 38 seconds. This was under traditional ECW Freeway Dance rules, which is a takeoff of Well, they kind of developed this freeway dance system in ECW. It's not a triple threat. So a triple threat, one fall, I should say, ends it all. That's it. With a freeway dance, it's an elimination contest. So in 9 minutes and 18 seconds, Little Guido got eliminated by Super Crazy via a moonsault, and then Super Crazy was eliminated by Tajiri via a buzzsaw kick following a running drop kick and brainbuster in 14 minutes and 38 seconds to finally end the match. So I got to get that out there. The ECW freeway dances are always elimination matches versus, what was going on with WWF at the time where they're doing the triple threat things where it's one fall to a finish.
All I can say is for this match, they ran this back for ECW One Night Stand.
They did.
And that one was way better than this one.
They actually run with this after this pay-per-view quite a bit. I think this is the first time the three of them are in the ring on any stage in ECW.
Okay, so this is their
I don't recall the meeting before. Yeah, so this is the launch of it. Yeah. And they run this back quite a bit through 99, through 2000, and then even into the company's final days in 2001, they do some variation of it where they're in tag matches for the tag titles and that stuff. So
yes. They run this back many times, but and this is all where it starts from. Good match, but there's better versions of this later on to watch.
Yep. Yeah. Much like, any very rarely I think you find, especially nowadays, you find a match that really kicks it out of the park in a first time meeting between two, I
don't know. Immediately Undertaker and Michaels comes to mind. They destroyed that one in WrestleMania.
Well, but they had Bad Blood in 97 prior to the WrestleMania.
Actually, yeah, they've done a whole bunch of programs.
They did a bunch of stuff before then, that stuff. I'm thinking the example you could have brought up to me was Cody versus Roman from WrestleMania last year. Because that was the first time they had touched. But, they had that was well developed and well hyped and well produced and everything like that. And this is ECW in 99. So
Punk and Samoa Joe won.
Okay, in Ring of Honor.
Yes. Arguably the best match.
That makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. Well, good point.
I didn't think that this match was too bad overall. I mean, like it was better than the tag debacle. I don't think it was as good. Oh my lord, yeah. I don't think it was as good as the Lance Storm match. But I mean, this was because like Little Guido, that's eventually Nunzio from the Full-Blooded Heavyweights in WWE, and he has some of that cruiserweight technical skill. I thought he was pretty good. I mean, Super Crazy got that Mexican luchador kind of influence, and then Tajiri with the kind of Japanese hard style. Like I thought there were some good moments, like the buzzsaw, the brain buster. That was a good finish. I was laughing so hard though when Little Guido comes out on his shoulders because I was just thinking of Master Blast Off.
I think that's what they were doing.
I'm just hearing Tina Turner just like, we don't need another hero. Just like sitting on his shoulders coming out to the. I thought it was so good.
And instead of Tina Turner, they're coming out to the techno "Do You Think I'm Sexy" remix, which is what it was.
Well, I mean, this night was full of it.
Yeah,
it was okay match. I was okay. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, I'm sure there's better ones in the future. Like they ran it back, and like Ty said, it's probably better than this one. I haven't seen that one, but I'll take his word for it.
I really don't have any problem with this being that this was the first encounter of all three of them. It's like there are better matches with them later on.
Yeah.
But this, for the first time that they're in the ring, that they're touching, it's not bad. It's,
okay. It is a good match. It is a good match. I did shit on it by saying that there's better versions of, and there are better versions of the same match.
No, I'm agreeing with you by saying there's better versions of it. I'm just saying that it's a good match.
What this match did do, though, it reminded me how good Tajiri was.
Oh yes,
yeah, he was so innovative with the kicks, with the strong style, with the submission moves, just the way he moves around in the ring. Like he was just fascinating.
So
that style was so unique.
Yeah, coming into this pay-per-view, Tajiri is coming off of a world title match with Taz from the previous pay-per-view. He was the at Heatwave, which was in August, I think, of 99.
Yikes! What a demotion.
He went in the main event with Taz, and Taz ended up choking him out. I think that match goes about 12 or 13 minutes or something like that. And so Tajiri has a very positive showing in that one too. So the crowd is behind Tajiri big time in this match. They're behind all of them in this one, I find, but the crowd is really cheering for Tajiri hard in this one. You know,
now was Tajiri like was he also someone that was like pretty influential in Japan like before and like until like this day?
He not really. He kind of came over, you know, as what they call a Japanese young boy, and kind of learned his trade in ECW. And then when ECW closed, he was one of the few guys left in ECW when they closed. He got scooped up by WWF with the contract, and that's what launched him a little bit. I kind of joked that
but he has a tryout match in the WWF against Takamichi Noku, and Tajiri didn't have his beard. He was clean shaven.
He's got wearing the short tights, the blue tights. Yep.
Yeah, he was wearing like blue and white. He basically looked like Takamichi Noku.
That's young boy Tajiri.
Yeah. And like he doesn't get this whole style, like just the kit he wears, the pants and the taped hands and the beard and the haircut and the look, you know, like he didn't put it all. There he is.
That's the classic look right there. Yeah.
That's Tajiri. Like he didn't put this all together until ECW.
No.
So in Japan, he wasn't much.
No.
But by the time he gets to ECW and he starts to put it all together, now he's something.
Yeah. And then he starts elementing some moves from the Great Muta in his repertoire, including the mist and the chain drive elbow a little bit later on and that stuff. He kind of becomes a pint-sized version of the Great Muta, and that's the Tajiri we know and love basically of today. I don't think he's actually physically retired from the sport. I think he still shows up from time to time and wrestles.
Last time I saw him was a Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, which was 2016?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because he was in that tournament, right?
All right, so let's go to this next match.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, as we move things on. By the way, we're getting a ton of comments on the show here. Andrew texted and say, "What's up, KN?" So, hey, how's it going, Andrew? Good to talk. Good to see you, at least on the stream tonight and that stuff. Dave W says Paul Heyman's pocket, and talking about where the rest of the budget came from for ECW. Not really Paul Heyman's pocket. It was Paul Heyman's dad and mom's pocket, from what I remember, because I think his dad was like a really high influential lawyer in Philly or something. And he was siphoning from his parents to run the company, which is just really low. But
I also want one more quick thing. I thought I can't remember if this is Tajiri, and somebody pointed out wrong about this. I thought it was him though, after, because he had a pretty good WWE run, that he was slated to come back to Japan, and he was in talks to the wrestler who was Hayabusa about potentially being the new Hayabusa, but it didn't work out or something. Was that?
Yeah, I think so, but that's also like FMW dies out about the same time ECW dies out too. So
maybe that's what fell through.
I think that was a victim of that, and the downfall of FMW is much like ECW's, except there's a lot more death.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So that's a story for another time, but there's a lot more death and lot of it's really grisly.
Wait, are you saying that he was supposed to take over as Hayabusa? Like they would just put him in his costume?
Well, I thought it was. I don't know if it was Tajiri after Hayabusa, because he got paralyzed.
Yeah, of course.
They were thinking about doing a new Hayabusa.
No. I think I know what you're talking about, but it's not Hayabusa. Okay. It's Tiger Mask. I think they wanted Tajiri to take over Tiger Mask to be like Tiger Mask 3
That makes
4.
more sense, yeah. I have to go and do some research on that to find out for sure, but I think you're right, TL. Yeah.
Yeah, and that didn't pan out, and he didn't want to do it because Tiger Mask is a big thing to step into.
Oh, it's still a huge thing. Like, they have even up to the
4 or 5.
They are on 4, I think, right now.
Yeah. With talks of a 5, I think, because they just had the anime series. You know what's hilarious? Number 2 was Mitsuharu Misawa. Yeah, and it's funny that in Bret Hart's book he writes about it, but he doesn't know who he is. He's like he remembers going to Japan and wrestling Tiger Mask number 1, and then going back and wrestling number 2, and he's like, this guy's not as good at all.
It's It's almost as if it's a different guy. What's going on?
Yeah, he's like, no, that's what he says. He's like, it's definitely a different. He's like, it's a different guy, but he's nowhere near as good. I'm like, that was Misawa, man.
Yeah. Misawa's awesome. Yeah. So he was
Again,
Misawa
somebody who had to learn and figure it out afterwards.
Yep, exactly. So, all right, promo segment at this point. It's Steve Corino in the back. He's with Rhino and Jack Victory, and he says that the ICP was supposed to be the tag team that was supposed to face Tommy Dreamer and Raven that he was bringing in for this pay-per-view tonight.
Whoop,
And-
whoop.
Yeah.
I am not a juggalo. I just had
I was going to say. I mean, let it fly if you want.
And as a
Let
true
your
hip
big
hop
flag fly.
fan, I deny their existence.
And they said they would no-show. I have in parentheses a legit thing that happened, and then I tried to do some research on it, and apparently it's still to this day borders on half-truths and urban legends and that stuff.
Who cares?
The most complete thing I could say is exactly what Corino happened, or says happened, I guess. So whatever. Says it's going to be Rhino and Corino anyway to take on Dreamer and Raven. So there we go. And then we see Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, why?
He's a big.
It's Chicago. It's Chicago. He lives in Chicago. It's a Chicago show. He's a wrestling fan, so he's there.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't like Billy Corgan either. I think he's a little pretentious, but I mean, he is a big wrestling fan.
Well, he runs the NWA right now, so
Yeah, that's right.
he runs his own promotion. Yeah,
He's kind of trying to do the indie stuff and
Ran it into the ground. Anyways,
it's not doing very well right now. Yes, exactly. So, just incredible with Jason taking on Sabu with Bill Alfonso as the next contest here. This thing runs. What does it run here? It runs 14 minutes and 6 seconds. And the finish is. Let's see here. Finally, that's incredible tombstone pile driver on a steel chair. And that's a 1-2-3 by Just Incredible. I have written down. It's a war. It's a ECW hardcore war, and it's a mild upset win here by Credible. Because Justin's brand new to ECW as of only a few months prior. Don't forget, this is the guy that was doing jobs in WWF as Aldo Montoya prior to WCW or ECW, I should say. So, right. Yeah. So 97, he's still doing jobs in WWF all the way in the first half of 97, and then he gets released from his contract, and then later on in like late 98 he signs with ECW. So that's
match
there.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Has Sabu always done the whole no music, lights out, and then he just comes back?
He has music. They used it more often than WWE ECW, if that makes sense. The WWF ECW or WWE ECW.
Because ECW really likes to use the whole blackout thing. They did it with Sabu a bunch. I think they did it with Brian Pillman. They do it for a lot of. They did it.
That's their only effect is to turn the lights off into this pitch black hole of a building and then turn it back on.
Yeah.
Turn the lights off in the gym. There's just a guy over by the panel. He's just waiting.
Literally.
Paulie doesn't pay the power bill at all, so that's it. He only pays for the first hour of the show, and then that's it.
Because he's extreme.
It's extreme. We're going into the darkness. Yes. So, but anyway, I thought this was, like I said, it's a war. They built this up. They've actually hyped this up quite a bit because this is Sabu's first match back from. Well, it's for our purposes injury, but for storyline purposes, they had him banned in different different places where ECW ran and that stuff because apparently it was too violent for ECW. That was the whole thing around him and that stuff. But this is Sabu's first match back after injury timeout or something, and it kind of gives Credible that extra leg up going forward, that he's beat one of the ECW originals, the ECW stalwarts here. And, again, you're trying to solidify your Impact players as the heel faction here in ECW going forward, eventually into that whole network thing. So
I wish I could do a Paul Heyman impression because I can hear it in my mind, the way that he tries to pitch the Sabu thing.
Good,
he's just too dangerous. He's too controversial. He's too violent.
That's
The
pretty good.
network doesn't want him on our television, so I have to hide him. Yeah. So I have to hide Sabu. But here on ECW Anarchy Rulz, there are no rules. It's kind of an oxymoron.
Well, yeah, there was that whole thing at the beginning of the match too with the restraining order. Incredible says he has a restraining order on Sabu, says the match won't happen, but then the rest says document is legally binding, but it has nothing to do with ECW, so he throws it out the window.
So much useless garbage. So much useless shit that Paul Heyman puts in. It's annoying. But okay, for this match, I'll just get it off real quick. Sabu was he was amazing.
Yeah.
The stuff he innovated and the things that he tried and attempted and pulled off most of the time. And even when he didn't, it looked like, okay, he fell and he was supposed to fall. That doesn't look like you should be doing that. But like, Mick Foley was so right when he told him that leading into WrestleMania. It was like, you didn't get the money that you deserved for everything that you did.
Yeah.
And this is like a good example of that. It's like this guy was so much bigger than what ECW was, and he was so much better. And what's his face? Justin Credible looks he's not sharp. He's a very sloppy kind of wrestler.
Yes.
Like, yes, he's technically
he's always looked like that.
Yeah, but I guess it goes with the gimmick of him being grungy, that he wrestles grungy, but I hate it. It doesn't look like professional wrestling. It looks like indie wrestling.
And then the problem is that when he later on does his WWF run, they clean him up a little bit, and then he just looks like a jobber. So again,
well, okay,
with
it's very
Factor,
telling,
right?
That's the whole thing. That's what's very telling is that at the very best, he's a jobber. Yeah. So here, while he's in the minor leagues, he looks very like, he should really be in the minor leagues. He's not a big time wrestler.
It also seems like Just Incredible seems like they were trying to capture Stone Cold again because
no.
Maybe.
Just because the bald head, the goatee, jean shorts.
Yeah, it's like late 90s in wrestling. You have to have a bald-headed, goatee, kick-ass man on your roster.
It's like Stone Cold ordered off of Temu.
Great value, Stone Cold.
Value, Stone Cold. Lukewarm.
Son, come here, son.
It seemed like because Paul Heyman always likes to take credit that Stone Cold started drinking beers in ECW because he was superstar Steve Austin after he came out of WCW before he went back to do the Ringmaster and then eventually Stone Cold.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think it was almost like one of those things where he's just like, maybe we'll just put a bald guy on there, catch fire, put him with Sabu, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
No. I don't think so at all.
No, like
I think he looks more punk rock as opposed to Stone Cold.
Well, Stone Cold was Texas redneck.
Exactly. So I'm saying this looks like the punk rock kind of version of that.
Punk rock Stone Cold. Northeast Stone Cold.
Northeast Stone Cold is hilarious.
That's good.
Northeast Stone Cold is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, that's prior funny. To the table spot in the match there and that stuff. Yeah, I can see kind of the grunchy look
Northeast Stone Cold. He's got like a Boston accent. He says, I'll drink a couple beers. I'm going to do a flip off on the table. You're going to like it.
Sabu, I'm going to put you through a fucking table.
That's the bottom line. Because lukewarm pebbles said so.
Lukewarm pebbles.
Terrible.
Moderately blunt instrument.
What? Yeah, that's all I got on this match, Craigie.
All right. Well, we'll move on to what is supposed to be our ECW World Title match next year. So this is the FMW versus ECW match here. Where Masato Tanaka, who is the FMW champion at the time, taking on Taz, who is the ECW champion at the time. There's streamers as Taz walks out, so it's got that Japanese flair to it, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so that's how it's supposed to be. But meanwhile, in the crowd, Judge Jeff Jones, we see him again, and Mike Awesome make their way to ringside. Taz basically says, come get some. Paul E is at the barricade. Taz says, make it a freeway dance for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. And Paul E's like, you want to fight two men? Go ahead. And it is all of a sudden becomes a freeway dance for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship, where we got Taz defending the ECW title against Mike Awesome and Masato Tanaka. So again, the second time on the night, kind of a surprise where we get this freeway dance stipulation going on the pay-per-view here. And this match runs, the runtime here is 13 minutes and 48 seconds. And the elimination lines for this one are Taz gets eliminated first by Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome. It's a roaring elbow by Tanaka and an awesome splash by Awesome off the top rope in 2 minutes to eliminate Taz. Now, back in 1999, this was huge news. There was speculation at the time that Taz was jumping ship. Nobody knew where he was jumping ship to. There was some speculation about WWF. There was some speculation about him going to WCW. This happens, and I remember all of the chat sites and everything just going crazy afterwards. It's like, he's going here, he's going there, whatever. And then we see Taz in WWF in January at the Royal Rumble. So this is Taz's last ECW appearance for some time. We see him back in ECW in the middle of 2000 because there's some issues with Mike Awesome as the World Heavyweight Champion, taking the belt to WCW without dropping the belt prior to, and blah, 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 blah. So, but we'll get to that, maybe later on another podcast or something, whatever. But it has no bearing here, or never, one of the two. But yeah, so that's it for Taz and ECW. This is it. This is his last ECW appearance.
I gotta say, what a shitty way to go.
It was actually pretty disappointing, this match. I was looking for, like, honestly, this match should have just been like a 20-minute triple threat without the elimination.
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to do if it was going to be these three guys, I mean, Mike Awesome had it was a good sequence for the elimination and everything. Is that Tony Chamel? Is that in the front?
No.
Okay.
It isn't. It looks like Tony Chimmel, but it's not.
You know who he looks like, Nitro?
Who?
Remember there's a guy named Stillwell.
Ah! Yes. Stillwell in a judge's outfit. I see it. Yeah.
Oh,
anyway.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So the judge
way.
Yeah, the Judge Jeff Jones thing is he used to be a
Oh God!
referee
Oh God! No! 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 We don't need it. We don't need the background. I do not care why this 20-year-old nothing is wearing a judge's outfit and named Mike. I don't care. I don't give a fuck.
But
I'm so done.
I'm the Lord Master. It's my job.
I'm done with all the bullshit in this show. I'm done with all these extra pieces of shit that is just in this soup.
Fair enough.
I'm done. All right? Fuck it. We don't need it. Here's the thing. This is a shit way for Taz to go out. And this is so confusing for anybody, Mr. Craig, watching this for the first time, where the badass champion of your entire company loses in 2 minutes, goes out, and is greeted by the rest of the locker room for some weird-ass reason.
What
the hell is going on here? And why did you let him leave like that? That's so stupid. Then the match continues. These two try to paralyze each other. This should have been called a quadriplegic match, because they're trying everything to actually break each other's spines, throwing each other through everything, and then
Tanaka and Awesome. Okay, yeah,
Tanaka and Awesome. They're trying to actually kill each other.
Yeah,
and they kick out of everything. Yeah. They sell nothing, and then they just have to whoever wins with their finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is I hate that style of wrestling.
Yeah,
I hate that when you can not that they did, but if you can light two tables on fire on the outside and put him through off the top rope and he kicks out at 2, but then he loses in a roll up. Like, what the fuck? I hate that shit so much.
Well, you can tell that they were doing that way back in '99. You see it today. It goes way back to '99 that they were doing that too. So
It was bullshit then, and it's bullshit now.
So there you go. Yeah,
Craig,
but
go ahead.
just a quick add to that is that this basically launches for the next 8 months, Tanaka and Awesome kind of trading the title between each other. So the next pay-per-view, there's a main event match between Tanaka and Awesome. And then at the final, the final recorded the final televised wrestling match of the 90s on December 31st, 1999 is Mike Awesome, Masato Tanaka, ECW on TNN world title match, where I think Tanaka beats Awesome for the title.
It doesn't matter.
I'm lore master. It's what I do again.
It doesn't matter.
Hey, Ty.
Hi.
Ty, do you think that it matters? It doesn't matter what you think.
I already did that.
I did it again.
Okay, so
what are your thoughts on the match, Craig?
well,
It was a bad match. No,
There you go.
I don't know. It wasn't that great. I think you send Taz to the back. I guess.
Yeah.
Like if Taz is leaving, and he's gonna go, he eventually went to WWF because this would have been right before he comes out and fights Angle, right? In Brooklyn.
Oh, way before. Yeah, this is September. He fights Angle at the Rumble in January.
Right. This is okay. So yeah, but he was gonna eventually leave. So like if you know Taz is leaving, and you're gonna take the belt off of him, at least have him go out. Like have him like he's the human suplex machine. He's the Taz mission specialist. Beat me if you can, survive if I let you.
Yeah.
Have him beat the shit out of both of these guys and have them. I mean, by all means, have the finish be, eventually Awesome and Tanaka are like, okay, we got to team up. We got to take him out because he's all over us. Then do the what was Tanaka's finisher? The
roaring elbow.
The elbow. Yeah. And then Awesome Splash, or the Awesome takes out Tanaka.
Awesome Bomb or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, doesn't the Awesome? I love the Awesome Bomb spot off the table. That was sick.
Whoa. Yes.
Or off the top turnbuckle rather.
Yeah.
On the table, I was like, I even got like a damn. I have him take him out and then have Taz come in, Awesome counters or something, does the Awesome Splash or do the elbow, whoever wins. But I don't know. That's why don't take him out within 2 minutes and let him stand up on the right. Okay, guys. This is the guy that was just 2 minutes ago was just like, let that son of a bitch in the ring. I'm going to make him tap out. And does and you're just like, oh yeah, he's ready to go. And then he loses within 2 minutes and he's like, all right, guys, one of you take it. Let's go, you two. It's just I don't know. It just seemed a little I don't know. I mean, if Taz is okay.
I can see that. Yeah. You definitely want to see Taz more in this match,
Yeah, I think you're 100% right.
If that stuff happens, what happens to Taz eventually at the 15-minute mark of this thing, I don't think anybody, is like, oh, okay, well, at least he went out fighting at that point. It's like,
yeah,
he loses in 2 minutes here. It's like, yeah. And part of that, I think, is maybe, I don't know, maybe that's Paul E kind of, I don't want to say sticking it to Taz because this is, I think, maybe as close to an amicable split as there could be. But I think this is it might have been Paul E kind of being like, oh, you're leaving. Well, here.
I'm throwing my thesis out here right now, and we will return to this at the end. Paul Heyman is a awful booker. He is a terrible booker.
Okay.
This is him trying to be like, oh, well, let's give him a surprise. That's all he thought into this.
Was he Macho Man Randy Savage?
Oh yeah, let's give him a surprise.
I was
trying to give them a surprise. So what would be more shocking than Taz losing in 2 minutes? Nothing.
Taz is gonna lose in 2 minutes.
3 minutes of playtime. Oh yeah.
But Taz was not ready, so therefore he left. But
that's right. He wasn't ready for the Macho Man.
Anyway,
so the absolute finish of this thing, by the way, massive top rope, Awesome Bomb through the table. And that's awesome. The ECW World Heavyweight title on Tanaka. Like I said, at the time. That,
Why is this in the middle of the show? Can we point that out too?
1348. Yeah, this is weird. I don't get the pacing of or the match order in this thing at all.
My thesis.
At all.
My thesis.
Was that the Sasha Banks wiggle? You just did when you my thesis.
My thesis.
My thesis.
Okay.
The Mercedes Monet wiggle.
Money.
Money.
My thesis. Okay. I'm Brian Fellows. No, okay, listen. Let's go on to the next piece of shit we got on this card.
Chewbacca wasn't.
Chewbacca was no good.
I thought you were doing a Johnny Cochran from South Park there, so I was like, Chewbacca was a Wookiee.
No, I'm Brian Fellows.
Oh, okay.
Chewbacca has alimony.
Yeah. Promo time. So we have the Raven promo in the playground. Guys, I absolutely loved this. I'm sorry. I love this because it's the whole back history. If you were brand new to checking out the product, which a lot of people are, because don't forget, it's a fresh market in Canada. It's a fresh world, or not worldwide, but it's a fresh American-wide market, North American-wide market at this point.
No more backstory.
I let you have two theses already.
It's one thesis.
Okay, but anyway, whatever.
No more backstory. He looks like Edge's daddy. Okay, how about that?
I love this whole thing. This is good. This was all right. So that's you don't want me to go any more on it, so go ahead.
No, there's nothing to say. I want you to just skip.
You think you know me?
So Craig, you're the tiebreak here. Was it good, passable, or meh?
Well, I do remember people talking about this promo, but like this was one where didn't they like do this? Like Raven, I think even said in an interview, I don't know if it was Inside the Ropes or not, or wherever, but I thought I heard an interview with Raven saying like they would just like take a camera and they would just go out.
Oh yeah, all of his
stuff walk around, and then he'd be like, "Hey, let's just do a promo right here." And
well, you see the different clips in that package were like him in a school running down Dreamer, him, somewhere in the back alley somewhere running down Dreamer, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's what they did.
It kind of seems like somebody's like high school drama project where it's like film a video and it could be anywhere. It's not. I don't know. Like, I guess it's classic in the sense that it's edgy, it's street, it's grungy, it seems bad production, which I mean, I don't know. ECW seems to kind of.
It is bad.
It was your deal, yes.
Because it fits the brand. Like if this was, I think it fits for ECW. If this was like supposed to be a promo that was going to run on like WWF, like it would have been. Oh, I don't know. It just wouldn't have worked.
No,
I don't think it worked that well here. I mean, Raven already had a good character, but I don't know. I guess it's just, I don't know. I didn't think much of it.
Tommy Dreamer is terrible on a microphone as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Dreamer looks like somebody's like dad who works as a mechanic.
Yeah, he looks like every man.
He just looks like the goatee, the kind of the fading hair. It's like Tommy Dreamer he just looks like somebody's stepdad.
Yeah. Well, there he is talking to Joel Gertner, who is interviewing Dreamer before the two. They're basically the storyline with Dreamer is that he's got allegedly two herniated discs in his back, and he's now the brand new ECW Tag Team Champion because they just took it off the Dudley Boys. So does he want to defend the title with his mortal enemy, or is he just going to drop the belts and be rid of everything and go on, injury timeout, I guess, or whatever? And he's like, no, I'm ECW's favorite wrestler, so I'm going to, fight it out. I don't care. Not in those terms exactly, but
Dreamer looks like here. He looks like the Brooklyn Brawler without a hole in his shirt.
Yeah, it's a cleaner shirt.
It's a clean shirt, Brooklyn Brawler.
It says Wild Bunch on the front of it.
Yep. I bet it does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I was thinking
could have been his beer league softball team for all we know. We don't know. So he could be playing some. Could be playing some baseball, some extreme Extreme Championship softball. Who knows?
Tommy Dreamer looks like that. His walk-up song should just be "Wild Thing," like from Major League. Dang, da, 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 da. You make my heart sing.
That is so funny you say that because that's friggin' John Moxley's theme song now in AEW.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good walk-up song.
No, it is not.
No, it
That's-
is. That's
That
cool.
song has that song has a shelf life of 20 seconds.
What do you mean?
It has the
I mean,
opening
he's-
guitar riff, it has the wild thing, and then the brain.
He stole it from Onita anyway, so it's it's been done already. But
What an awful thing to steal.
yeah. Oh, and by the way, Francine in 1999. Hello, there we go. So
Hello and goodbye.
She was pretty fun. She was
Yeah.
pretty-
roll tide, as some podcasters would say, but there we go. Yeah, so this ECW tag team title match starts. It's Tommy Dreamer and Raven versus Steve Corino and Rhino. No Raven early on. It's a 2-on-1 for Corino and Rhino. Raven shows up after Francine gets power slammed by Rhino. Again, ECW. So let's
That was
lay out the women.
That was fucking rough. I watched that. And first of all, this match not good.
No.
Like,
No.
just
And
not,
it's not very long either.
not very
It's-
long. It's only like 4 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 24 seconds.
Yeah, there you go. But like it's just like I just remember like I was like, oh, she's distracting. She does the pretty good. She gets the kick up, right? She hits him.
Yes.
Pretty good kick, and then he grabs her. I was like, oh, and then like I was like, oh, he's probably just gonna like throw her down or something. But
Yeah.
it's the full power slam, and like she takes it.
Mhm.
Like, she takes it pretty well. Like kudos to her, but like I was just like, oh shit. But I mean, I think that's a sign of that. It was at least that
Some of
so-
the
that was a good one. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
it made me go like, fuck. Like, geez.
some of the worst bumps in ECW or worst moves to take a bump off of belong to Francine through ECW's history. I'm not saying that she's a terrible bump taker. I'm saying that she shouldn't be taking these bumps because these moves are like they will like break a normal woman in half. You know,
The fact that
should
she
be
can
breaking
walk
her in
today,
half.
the fact that she can walk today
Yeah.
without a cane is
Mhm.
surprising.
she was just at that NXT ECW arena show that they had a few weeks ago on NXT, sitting
In
ringside. and that stuff.
Philadelphia.
Still,
Yeah.
still looks like still looks great, and that stuff was involved in their show. So
I think it's a credit to her as a in-ring performer.
mhm.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
She
Yeah,
picked
that-
those bumps, and she,
damn straight.
I'm sure it got her a lot of respect from the guys and stuff.
Well, she's the only one that looked good in this thing because holy God.
Double
Also keeping
DDT
in
by
mind-
yeah. Oh, okay.
Also,
anyway.
keeping in mind, this is Raven's return. So,
It is.
this is his
Yes.
return run to
Yeah.
ECW because he'd been in WCW. Yeah, with the whole Raven's flock.
Ravens flock in WCW. Yes. So,
Yeah, and he's
leaves-
actually on the cover of that video game, WCW versus NWO Revenge.
mhm.
So, I mean, he was a big part of WCW for a little bit there, and then now he's back in the minor leagues.
So
Stop doing that!
So Raven leaves ECW in July of '97, I think. Yeah, June or July of '97, and then he leaves ECW in June or July of '97. Goes to WCW. They put him in the flock almost immediately, and he's doing the flock thing until about early '99, and then leaves WCW and re-signs with ECW, a few weeks prior to the TNN launch. And then the third week of ECW on TNN is when the Dudleys leave, and Raven's the big reveal at the end of the show that comes out to help Dreamer win the tag titles and that stuff. And then, I mean, I get what Pauly's doing, have the two forever rivals team together and see if they can coexist. It's a wrestling trope that's as old as time. They still do it to this day. Can they coexist?
Well, I mean, that's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, well,
That's
yeah.
Goku and Vegeta.
Pick your comparable, I should say.
That is my comparable.
Yeah. Well, it happens all the time.
That's Goku and Vegeta of ECW.
That's Shaq and Kobe.
No, it is not.
That's Toucan Sam and Captain Crunch.
Oh, for God's sake. Somehow the Kobe Shaq was worse than
Yeah.
what you just said. Here we go. It's Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Ah, yes.
Get over here.
You guys are fucking nerds. That's the That's the one that you guys flip out over.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So we won't even talk about post-match because I'd have to get into a Man Cow and why he was a thing in the late 90s and that stuff. It's basically another Howard Stern knockoff at that
Who
point.
cares? Move on.
Who cares? So Raven was buddies with him.
We're almost done this shit show.
Axel Rotten hits the ring, calls out Mike Awesome for the World Heavyweight title. Lance Storm walks out with Johnny Smith and Just Incredible. Says they are 2 for 2 tonight and about to be free for free. Says Axel should rescind the challenge. Axel says no and attacks the Impact players. He gets beat down. Balls Mahoney and Spike Dudley hit the ring. We get an acid drop on Dawn Marie. In the melee, Johnny Smith takes a wicked chair shot to the head by Balls Mahoney, which was kind of Balls' thing. He would give, chair shots to guys' head. That was his deal. In reality, and this is another ECW thing, is mismanagement of wrestlers, even this early on. So Johnny Smith was wrestling with All Japan through 1999. He is a former Stampede Wrestling alumnus from about 10 years earlier, wrestled Owen Hart, Brian Pillman, and the Ilk and that stuff. He was not cleared by the Chicago Athletic Commission to wrestle due to an existing heart condition going into this pay-per-view. So day of the show, they get this laid down. And that is not only a match on the card, Paulie had it scheduled as his main event. So what does he do? Flip the booking around. We're throwing Balls in Johnny Smith's spot to go against Rob Van Dam.
Oh my God.
See, this is where the lore is important. Damn it.
No, it's not. It is not important. None of these men are important. This main event is not important. This is just feed for the cash cow that is Rob Van Dam.
Rob Van Dam is hot at this point in 1999. He's a hot commodity.
Go ahead, do the thing.
Okay. Well, I was
give
just
us the synopsis. I'm gonna save mine to last. We're gonna let Craig even go first.
Okay, cool. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Hurry up!
ECW World TV title. Balls Mahoney takes on Rob Van Dam, who's the champion. Van Dam, of course, is in the midst of his historic ECW TV title run. It was 18 months long as of this pay-per-view. And, of course, Balls came in from Smoky Mountain Wrestling and became Balls Mahoney from, about a year prior to that. Lots of brawling to the outside, brawling through the crowd, incredible dive to the outside, somersault plancha by RVD on Balls Mahoney. There's a point in this match where Balls is just brawling and kind of dominating. Balls nails RVD with a chair and only nets 2 as Bill Alfonso, who's Rob Van Dam's manager, comes in and breaks it up. Fonzie runs distraction as RVD hits a Van Terminator, but only nets a 2 count. But that leads to a massive 5-star splash by Rob Van Dam to net the 1-2-3. And because both of these guys are baby faces, they embrace and do the whole, hey, I respect you thing at the end of the show. And then we get a recap video of everything and an ad for the 99 November to remember, which is next on the pay-per-view schedule. Another ECW pay-per-view trailer as we go to black on a still of Mike Awesome holding up the ECW title. And again, we'll talk about the ordering of the matches here, I guess, after TL does his dissertation here coming up. But Craig, what did you think of the last match on the card? I won't call it the main event match because I think they kind of early 90s WWF this thing and had the main event in the middle. But
yeah, I don't know. I didn't really. I mean, I think this was a good match in terms of some spots they did. I didn't think it didn't keep me that captivated. I mean, the Van Terminator spot off the top rope was
sick,
awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the frog splash, the pin, and then they bro hug after. It just if anything, you're running a promotion called Extreme Championship Wrestling, and your main event was not extreme. Like it didn't seem like I didn't get, there was more blood in the Just Incredible Sabu match.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like there was more animosity there. Like, I don't know. I thought it was kind of a dry fart of a main event. Recently. It was great. I think Rob Van Dam's a hell of a performer. He's always been a very good performer. I thought Balls Mahoney, obviously he had a lot of injuries, and he died from he had basically
CTE. Yeah.
CTE,
CTE. Yeah.
Brain hemorrhage when he's at home like this. But as a big man, like he did that one spot in this match where he what did he do? He did he kind of kicked off and did like he's like a 300-pound guy. And he did what was the spot where he like flips over Van Dam? Like it was just really impressive. It was just like, he was one of those guys that could move, kind of like how people talk about like Earthquake, early in his career.
Yes.
How Tenta could move for a big man. And like, he was pretty graceful in the ring at times early in his career, so it's, you had really good performers, and it just, again, maybe it was just the storyline was not good, or it just didn't really ring home.
Right.
Like it kind of ended, and then they just do the roll through at the end. And I was like, that didn't leave you feel satisfied.
Nope.
If I would have paid money for this and saw it live, I would have been like, I don't want to watch this again. Like that was just
yeah. So, just before we get to UTL here, again, I watched this match, and I know it's the last match on the card, but I think the main event on this card already happened. I think you in the way, if you had this originally booked, you flip-flop this in the world title match, because the shock of Taz losing the world heavyweight title, that's what you got to go out on the pay-per-view on. Yeah, because that's your unstoppable monster, for so long, and him losing the title as the last thing is like, okay, that's big news. That's huge, because that's confirms a lot of internet rumor at the time too, and everyone all of a sudden just freaking out. It's like, where is he going at this point? And so on and so forth. So I agree with you, Craig, with that for sure. All right. I will take cover here and get into the bomb shelter. And Mr. TL, you're up. Go ahead, sir.
Rob Van Dam to ECW is what Will Ospreay is to AEW right now.
Okay.
Rob Van Dam, Will Ospreay. They both do moves just because they can. And they try to tell everyone, look how cool that move was after I did the move. They are not in a contest. They are not in a fight. They are not in trouble. They are not trying to win. They're trying to show you, hey, I'm cool. Look at this move I just did. Do my gestures. Say my catchphrases. It is so bullshit and choreographed. It's actually choreographed is what Rob Van Dam and Will Ospreay are. It's give me your leg so I can do this move. Lay over there so I can do this splash. Stand right about there so I can leap frog and then kick you. It's not really, I don't know how to explain. It's not improv like wrestling.
Yeah, there's not the element of a actual athletic contest happening there. It's kind of more.
It's like a martial arts showcase.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Gotcha. Yeah.
This is not wrestling to me. And that's what this main event completely solidified.
Again, I hesitate to call it even a main event, but it's the last match on the card.
It is. It's the last match on the card. It's the main event. That's how you get paid. That's how it is. And this sucked. And this actually damaged my perception of Rob Van Dam.
Because I was going to say, I'll let you finish, but do you have the same perception of him when you watch his WWF matches, from a couple of years later, from after the invasion, like 2001 on? You see his stuff.
It's a little different because I didn't see Rob Van Dam until he came to WWEF.
Right.
I'd only heard about him, and I heard, oh, he's the greatest. He does all this stuff. And then you see him, and it's like, okay, yeah, he does all this cool stuff. But once you see all the stuff, there's nothing there. And there's a reason why you couldn't put a company on his back. Is because once you get past the stuff, I mean, once you get past all the flips and the moves and the kicks, there's no wrestling there. There's no wrestler. You don't have someone who can cut a promo.
Yeah.
He's not interesting enough for me to draw me into the building. Once you see the circus, the show's over.
Yeah.
The rabbit's out of the hat. He pulled the thing out of his pocket. He shed all over the floor. Whatever you want to say.
That makes sense because outside of the drug possession charges in 2006, I don't think that world title run he had in WWE was going long.
No.
I think he was maybe a 2 or 3 month champion, and then that was it.
Yep.
So
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
This is like this kind of solidifies that, like, man, Rob Van Dam kind of sucked. That's kind of the bombshell of it. He did cool moves, but he kind of sucked.
Okay.
And so did this event as a whole. Thesis: Paul Heyman is a shit booker. Because now that it's all over.
Yeah, okay.
Hold on, now that it's all over, I can go back and backtrack on something here.
Yes,
well,
okay.
I was not outraged by the main event. It's just that it kind of put a cap on this thing of like, this tarnished my view of ECW. This tarnishes my view of what Paul Heyman was back then in ECW. This show was awful. It sucked. ECW sucks. ECW was bullshit. Anybody who looks back on this and thinks that it's good is watching this with rose-tinted glasses. This is awful. What they did to make ECW seem prestigious or seem important or seem good all these years later is the highlights. You take the cool stuff, you put it in a nice little package, you put some music underneath it. Wow, that was really cool. But when you have to watch an entire show of this and you see all the details and that go along and all the little things that they shove in there, this is terrible. It's a terrible product of a terrible company led by a terrible leader. Paul Heyman can't book. This reminds me of the old WWF shows from back in the day when you used to have a top guy against a jobber and he just squash him. That's what this whole event kind of was, except for the opening with Jalen and Lance Storm, which, by the way, have no feud. They both came off of big stuff, and now they're opening the show for absolutely no reason. But otherwise, hey, you want to know what New Jack's about? There he is. Go and beat the shit out of everybody, and that's the end of it. You want to see what Sabu's about? Hey, there he is. Let's feed him somebody, and then he can just jump off of everything and break tables and land on you. You want to see what Rob Van Dam's about? Hey, there's Rob Van Dam. Let's just feed him to this fat piece of shit with a chair. Hey, you want to see Tommy Dreamer and Dreamer? Okay. Let's put him in a 2-minute tag match. There's your money's worth.
Yeah.
This was awful, garbage bullshit. I kind of hate you for making me watch this.
You always say that about my choices, though.
There's a reason, and there's a threat going on here.
I'm like, come on, man! I can't catch a break. What's going on?
Pick some good shit.
Craig, are you that much downtrodden about this show as TL is? Or?
No, I don't put so much.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I love this show, but like, I think somebody said, I want to say it was Bischoff on his podcast or something, but he said that the best thing about ECW was the crowds.
Yes. Yeah. And the crowd is still stupid hot through this show from beginning to end.
If anything, it's like the crowd is like, I think if you would have put this everything that happened with the wrestlers and the valets and the behind the scenes sticks, if you would have put that in front of a WWF crowd, this would have been crickets. just because it's a different audience, but because it's ECW, like every big spot, every big dive, like the crossbody off the top was that. Who did that on the during the Dreamer and Raven match? Who somebody did the crossbody off the top. It was a pretty good crossbody from the top to the floor.
Right.
Everybody's like losing their shit about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did love the Mike Awesome powerbomb through the tight table from
there
the
we
top.
go. Yeah.
That was a big spot that got, but even
the Van Terminator in the
Terminator
TV title match. Yeah.
And I think ECW has always been, at least from what because I never watched ECW. I came into the WWF and watched the end of the reign of WCW on top. That's when I started watching wrestling. Was WCW was already on top. NWO was already a thing.
Yeah,
Goldberg, Sting, and then I would watch Raw live. I was always a Raw watcher. Of course, Stone Cold was at the top and The Rock, and that's when I kind of started watching. But I never watched ECW. But looking back and like. I think Ty kind of touched on it. ECW has always been about the highlights. There's the little like, remember that spot. Remember when the lights went out and then Enter Sandman started playing and the Sandman came out.
Yeah.
Remember when Brian Pillman came out, he's on Brian blocking Pillman and people are went crazy. Like there's moments. It's a firecracker of a promotion. You're going to be watching it like for, I think most of the matches you might be like, well, okay, like I don't know what this is about or what the point is. Oh, that was a good move, but it just to me, I look back on it, I'm like, I don't know. It seemed like the more volatile alternative to WWF, or
right?
Which is I think is what it served. Like it's supposed to kind of be that. It's not for everyone, but like I can definitely see why people enjoyed it and why people really liked it. It's just not for me. I ended it like, okay, I guess so.
Yeah, we'll go to Dave W in the chat. He says that, well, that makes sense if he didn't live through the rise of ECW as an alternative to the same crap WCW and WWF was doing. It doesn't make sense now. Yes, well, if you're checking this out for the first time in 2024, I can see that definitely.
Yeah, that's valid.
Time to give the ratings out of 10 for this show. We'll hold off going to TL for his towards the end. I'll give mine first. I'm going to give the show a 6 out of 10 myself. There are still some things on the show. Can I explain myself first?
Ty's a WWF fanboy.
No, I'm very
May I, sir?
I'm sorry.
May I, sir?
Go ahead.
Explain myself. There are things on the show that I liked. Like I said, the Raven promo I thought was great. I loved the opener between Jerry Lynn and Lance Storm. I thought that was a really decent matchup. The Cruiserweight Freeway Dance, I like that. That was a good match as well. That to me was, I remember how good these guys were prior to their WWF runs, and I'm like, yeah, that's good. Still to this day, the shock of Taz getting eliminated in that Freeway Dance for the title, it's like, whoa. And it just conjures up again the warm fuzzy nostalgia memories of like, oh my God, yeah, this is it. This is Taz leaving ECW. This is a big deal, And then, watching RVD in the main event, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. He was red hot at this point, with the ECW TV title and that stuff. There's things I like. There are definitely things that suck on this show. Like that whole schmoz with, Simon Diamond and Jazz and whoever the hell else, and New Jack and everything. That was quite the schmoz. But that's there to me. It's about a little bit more than above in 2024 standards, a mediocre pay-per-view for me. I'm like, yeah, it's a 6. So that's what I'll give it. Craig seems to have stepped away for a quick second, so we'll go to you, Mr. TL, and let me get your better thing up on the thing. So give me a number out of 10 that you'll give this, and you can't go negatives. You have to give it a positive value.
2.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine.
This gets
Fine.
a 2 out of 10.
2 out of
And
10. Okay.
the only 2 I'm giving it 4 is because to Jerry and Sabu.
Okay. Yeah. I completely forgot to talk about Sabu. Yeah, it was great to see Sabu again in ECW. So,
but yes, it is a 2 of it. It is a 2 out of 10, which now follows the thesis. Paul Heyman is a shit booker.
Which you explained. So, Craig, what do you give this thing out of 10?
I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
A 4 out of 10.
I
Okay.
think that, yeah, there was a lot of things they could have put in a lot of better spaces. But I do think that this had the structure. I mean, if they had the storylines, maybe had a bit better of a feed or lead up. You know, you could have done the Taz lose the title a lot better. I just checked; he had a 252-day reign. That's a big reign. Like to have him go out like that, it's like, oh, you kind of, you know, like that's kind of not a good way to. I think if they would have maybe cleaned some things up, had that Taz match as the main event, and maybe done it a little bit better, this could have been a 6 or 7 out of 10. I think that the crowd was white hot, you know, for it. So I think, you know, this had potential to be a lot better. But yeah, it fell a little flat for me.
If I were to rebook this pay-per-view, I would suggest that we don't have this pay-per-view. I would suggest that the first pay-per-view that the ECW on TNN is building up to is the November to Remember, because that was one of their big marquee shows. That's the past November to Remembers leading up to 99 where important stuff happened in ECW. That's what you do. Like this Anarchy Rulz thing. This is the first Anarchy Rulz. They only did like 2 of them, obviously, because of 99, 2000. They're done by 2001. So, but this was developed to take advantage right away, right out of the gate, 4 weeks in for the ECW on TNN contract. Again, what I would do is I would, you know, not even have the need to do this. Just, you know, let's start slow burning some programs in September and October, so that when the 7th of November comes around, that's your big blow off for ECW on TNN. You know, this is what you got. And maybe you have a little bit more flushed out storylines happening and that stuff. And, you know, by November, you have Chris Candido and Tammy Lynn Cinch back into the company, you know, so that's kind of a brand name that you can use to throw out there. You have, you know, like if Taz is leaving, you can talk to him and you can extend that storyline out to say, okay, we're not going to have you wrestle a match or anything until November 7th, but we're going to build up, you know, one of either Tanaka or Awesome to be the one that takes the belt eventually off you. And then you have the freeway dance on that show with, you know, Taz getting eliminated 15 minutes in or 13 minutes into the match or something, you know. Have him stay in there, put some ring time in, and then have him walk out. The 2 minutes it's a shocking thing. I know why they did it was for the shock factor, but you look at it now, yeah, if you rebook it, have him stay longer. That's it. And you damn sure put that match at the end of the card. Like flip-flop the 2 matches. The World TV title match should have been middle of the card, and then you know, I get you're trying to reward Van Dam, but there's no need for that.
Yeah,
not at that point. Not against that opponent. If it was going to be a reward between him and Johnny Smith, it's like, some people know Johnny Smith, but other people don't. Whatever. So, you know, that still goes middle of the card to me. And
I just want to add a little.
The unfortunate thing. That's it.
I want to add a little thing to this.
Yeah.
ECW One Night Stand was the WWF pay-per-view.
Yeah.
With ECW.
Yes.
And it was kind of like a rerun night.
Yeah.
But that pay-per-view was so fantastic. Like that's a damn near 10 out of 10 pay-per-view for me. I thought if we go into real ECW of the late 90s and I saw a pay-per-view of everyone in their prime when the company is at its hottest, it was going to be good. And this is such a letdown to know that, oh my God, these guys fucking sucked.
I didn't expect your response either out of this. I was just like, oh, okay. And sometimes with these pay-per-view choices, I'm like, you know, here we go. Hopefully, you know, the guys like it. And then, you know, the
Here's the
response from it.
Whether we
So.
like it or not, it's all content. And if I
Yeah.
hate it, it's really good content.
Yeah.
So
Hey, there we go.
throw me some stinkers, man. I love, you know.
Well, let's not make this, you know, the next show, Heroes of Wrestling. No,
Oh, baby.
let's not do that. No, that's
Yeah,
not
buddy.
happening.
Oh, it might.
I was going to say it's your choice next, so it's like, oh no.
Oh yeah,
I'm feeding.
yeah.
Feeding that's the feeding of my that's up. So
Hold on, Craigie. Did you ever watch ECW One Night Stand?
That's the one where RVD beat Cena, right?
Nope.
The second
That's
one.
the second one. What about the first one?
the first one in 05.
No, I didn't say that
You
one.
haven't seen it? Okay.
Do you think we should? Just to
Yeah.
show them what a good ECW
Compare?
show looks like?
If that's your choice, I can definitely arrange that. Sure.
I think we should.
Okay. We can do that for the next show. Sure. So we'll stay on the ECW run here for the next show.
One
But
last
it'll be
time, baby. One last
one
time.
last time for One Night Stand 2005. We'll get the stuff set up for that for sure. And
Yeah.
it'll be easy for you because come January we won't have the network anymore. So that's the thing, is that everything's going to be on Netflix. So
Dope.
well, maybe there's talk of the Netflix build not having all the stuff that the network has.
Oh God, just end it. End it now.
So we'll see what happens, but I don't know. But anyways, we get to the point where we hype our social medias and stuff. I will go first.
And
Everything
let the
is.
Undertaker rest in
Oh yes, this has to rest in peace. Yeah, that's right. So we'll tell the Undertaker to rest in peace, and it goes down.
Yay.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Peace. Yes.
Very good, very good.
I'll be at Kellen Nitro on all my social medias. You can follow me wherever. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on the other thing too. Fred's. Yes, that's it. All under at Kellen Nitro. So you can find that out wherever.
I am at CPFraser. You can
Oh,
find.
I got to change that. Sorry, that's the wrong one.
That's okay. I actually have to check what my handle is because I'm also on Blue Sky now as well.
Okay.
Twitter.
There we
I
go.
refuse to call it whatever.
That's correct, right? I have it. That's correct.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I don't care if you follow me. Find me if you dare.
By the way, if you can find him on TikTok, he's got some funny TikToks.
Got a few good ones on there.
He's got a few good TikToks, yeah, for sure. And Mr. TL, you're just still on the X, doing the X.
Yeah, I am still there exclusively. I am on nothing else. I'm just on that at TMLoutan.
Yeah.
And I want the smoke. If y'all coming at me for some ECW bullshit, send it. Send it.
Final call for comments. We had a bunch of comments today. Thanks for everybody for sending in comments on the stream and talking about it. This is the most comments and stuff we've ever had during a Classic Nitros Take Live. So we want to thank our listeners and our viewers tonight streaming live for it. Feel free as well, even if you're watching this on a tape delay and that's if you have a comment or a question, that's what the comment boxes are for on YouTube. So just go ahead and throw it in the comment box below and we'll save it and we'll do it next time. Or
Tape
get to it
delay?
next time. Yeah.
Tape
Or off
delay?
the top of the next show, because as we've discussed, we'll do ECW One Night Stand as the next show. So 2005.
Would that be a tape delay, Grandpa?
A tape delay. I don't get what you're doing here.
I don't know. Just you said tape delay.
No. What?
Do you have any idea how long ago tape was?
Oh. Sorry,
They're not watching the tape delay.
the PVR version. The on demand.
There you go.
There we go.
You watch the on-demand version of
Yes.
this, not the live cast, but the podcast.
Yes.
Not the tape delayed, Grandpa.
Be sure to set your TiVo.
Strategy tips.
Make sure to program your VCR to exactly 10 o'clock on ABC.
Well. Well, It's a tradition. It's a tradition at this point where we just do this. Pop that up. Boom. Warrior zero context.
Are you brave, warrior?
That still is one of the. That's our very first classic Nitro Steak, everybody, to Royal Rumble 1991. So go back and check that one out. That's still one of my favorite episodes I think we've done. So
I think it's the best one.
it's one of the best segments I know we've done for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
For sure. It's great. So yeah, so that's it for us for here this time around. Thanks again, guys, and we'll catch you guys next time here on Nitro Maniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited. We do wish you guys a great evening or day or whatever it is you're doing. Happy wrestling watching, and we'll catch you next time here on the channel. Toodles.